feels good to be back in the saddle. So I was gone for a couple of weeks and I got behind on the podcast a little bit, but we're cranking ready to go again. But I don't think Kendall needs a welcome, but I'll welcome him anyway. We got Kendall Hines with Clicki here. I text Kendall like, I don't know, 2 days ago, 3 days, whatever it was. I'm like, dude, like every single day I'm answering the same question. Hey, Jonas, how do you like Clicki? I'm like, dude, it's the best thing ever. You have to get it. But so I was like, we just need to do a podcast, give you updates. We just looked, it's been almost a year to the date since you've been on. So Kendall, welcome back to the show, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's crazy, in software land, when you're working on things, you put your head down, the next thing you look up and you're like, wow, it's been, I guess, over a year since we last chatted. But yeah, good to be back. And I'm trying to get like Jonas, man. I see you just traveling all over the country and doing big things. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was gone for 5 days for Maisie's wrestling, my daughter's wrestling. We had state finals down there. So we're gone to Detroit. And then I was home for a day. And then I got home on a Sunday and left Monday morning to Arizona. I was gone there for 5 days for leadership retreat. So it was all good. Went over a lot of good stuff there. Set goals and introduced new software, marketing strategies that we're running, things like that. Obviously, new compliance stuff. And then we had a little bit of fun. We went to Sedona. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's like one of the coolest places ever. If you've never been to Sedona.
Yeah, I haven't been to Sedona yet. No, I'll have to put that on the list. I'm looking for places. So
it's incredible. We had a lot of fun. So yeah, I was gone for 5 days there and then back. And then next thing you know, we had 4 offices opening in 2 days. So it's just been a whirlwind. So good stuff. Good stuff.
I saw the badger. I saw the badger in my neighborhood the other day. I was like,
Did you?
It's that time of year. Yeah, no.
That's good.
I was like, slow down, sir. And I'm just kidding. He was going to kill some bugs. So
yeah, it's crazy that we're down there and it's fun. It's going good down there too. It's a tough market. There's no doubt. There's a lot. It's saturated, but it's a great market too.
That's Arizona, right?
It is. Yeah. It's like 2 hours away from Phoenix.
You know what? Pest control companies in Arizona are like lawn care companies in Georgia. It's like, it's insane.
Last I heard, there's 1,000 licensed pest control companies in Arizona.
Yeah. It's like your water, right? You move into a new house, you got to turn on the water, electricity, and pest control. So,
but it was also late February, early March whenever we were there, and it's beautiful out. It's like 70, 80 degrees. Like, it's not Michigan anymore. Is all the snow gone by you?
Yeah, it's starting to. The lawns are still a little bit dormant. They're waking up for the year, but it's still cold. It's like this every year. It starts to get a little sunny, and you start getting excited, and then it's like boom, 25 degrees in a snowstorm.
Yep. So we get that into April, May. Has Grass Doctor started yet?
No. Yeah, no, they haven't. I think they wait till about April, like first week of April, to start their services. So, yeah, they're getting ready though, hiring technicians and getting all that going. They're putting their heads down and hoping for a big year. So
that's cool. Yeah, like I said, going back to the Sedona thing, it's almost like it's hard to explain. It's obviously it's way different than Michigan, obviously, but it's like there's no grass anywhere. It's just all rock and dirt, and then the hills and mountains are just next level. Like I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, that was bizarre being there, being a Michigan boy, where you're just surrounded by like evergreen trees all the time, and you're out there in this like vast openness.
It's like a whole new world. Like for real, that's what it felt like.
Colorado was like that for me too. Denver was like for Pest World this past year, and I was like, what is going on? I've never seen so much traffic in such deserted area in Denver. It was wild. Like who planned this city? We need to figure this out. Like, let's go.
For sure. So how's Clicki going? I know it's going good, but like, how's everything going?
We're super blessed. And, we have 200 companies now that use the software or like they're in process to use. I say that because we're adding about 20 to 30 logos a month right now in all different verticals and industries. So you think lawn care, pest control, home cleaning, HVAC, plumbing, epoxy floor coating businesses, traditional brick and mortars like my wife's business, Marshall Ash.
Yeah.
So we've definitely found product market fit in the sense of just this. We've hit a chord with people that they want what we're building.
I think it was just something that it was a blue ocean. Like no one was doing it. It needed to be done. Everyone is looking for it.
Yeah, there is some competition now with some, VC-backed entrants, which has been interesting. Nothing that we really run up against. I think the really differentiator is I've actually owned a company. Like I've actually had to run payroll and go find technicians and then spend our own dollars on running Google ads and Facebook ads. And it's not just some Utah tech company going out and building software for people that they've never had to walk in their shoes. So I think that's really our competitive advantage is when I've actually, I haven't built a business as big as Jonas, but I've actually owned a franchise location and ran a lawn care company and had to grow it from 90 accounts to 2,000 accounts. I think you learn a lot doing that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's been a blessing, but also I've never worked harder in my life. Every day I wake up and think, how can we do it better? How can we get companies more referrals? How can we leverage AI and have the AI reach out to these people and get referrals in plain language from people using agents or some sort of texting method or, there's so much to do. We've come so far, but there's still so much to do. And we're just listening to our customers, their feedback, and building what they want. A good example is our buddy Travis Bottoms at Nice.
Yeah, he's awesome. I just talked to him today.
Oh, you did? Yeah, he just did this. I think he did a speaking engagement, one of his first ones recently, and
he's at the Bug Bucks conference.
Yeah, Bug Bucks, and he was using. We were on demos with companies, and they always bring up this other company, and we use this company for X, and it just kept coming up. And then Travis came to me and was like, hey, we don't want to use this company anymore. We want one unified customer experience for our customer referrals, our homeowner tipping, our Google review, our Tip a Tech program, and then our NPS surveys. We want one unified experience. Because if you think about companies, they want 4 or 5 things after every treatment. And what do you do if they've already left you a Google review? Well, you probably want to start pushing for referrals now, right? So that led to us creating this new product called Bravo. And we had no intention to go build it. I did not want to go down this path. And frankly, if it was 4 years ago, pre-AI, we wouldn't have gone down the path. But there's a lot of AI coding tools out now. And we were able to recreate this other product in about 2 months. Identical functionality, but with the added functionality of it's deeply integrated into the Clicki referral system. So now, in Travis's case, he can turn on at different times in the year. Well, I'm really pushing referrals, or maybe I'm really pushing Google reviews, or I'm really trying to push Google reviews to this new satellite location office. And what we've really discovered is now you're avoiding this problem. And it's that if I'm using Podium and all the field routes and high level, I've got 8 different people texting my customers after the treatment for 8 different things. And we think there should just be a really unified, beautiful post-service experience. And that's something we're really digging into now of solving. And so we see Clicki as kind of our external product of where customers are using it. And Bravo is the internal product of what technicians and employees use. So that's where we're at today. And we used AI to build it in about 2 months, like I said. And it's freaking insane because I'm giving it to Travis and a couple of our other kind of early customers. And I haven't even showed it to you yet. Cause I want it to be, for you, it needs to be on point, needs to be robust because it's multi-location. We're just not there yet, but we will be soon. And, so we're taking feedback from clients in plain language and they're like, hey, I want to do X, X, and X. We're giving it to the AI and then that feature is launched the next day. There's no cycle times. There's no waiting on roadmaps and things like that. It's we're moving at the speed of thought, and that has never been possible up until AI. So I can't sleep at night because it's anything that we can think of now is now possible. And we have the best team to do it now. Eric, our CTO, he's using Cursor and some of these other their AI powered IDEs to actually write code. And we're moving so fast. It's insane. So it's like, you're only limited by your imagination and your creativity now. And it wasn't like this even a year ago when we talked. I remember like, it was like, we're just like, oh, trying to figure out this referral. Like so there's this huge opportunity to be the one brand that customers trust, service businesses trust, to handle all of those different things in their business and do it in a really beautiful way where their customer isn't receiving 8 text messages from different vendors after every treatment. Because it's overwhelming, and honestly, it reduces click-through rate because inevitably they think it's spam, or they think you're spamming them or selling their data or something. So.
Are you sick of paying marketing agencies and not getting results? Well, we are hosting the #1 step-by-step class on how to attract and generate sales without paying a marketing agency or having a huge budget. Most lawn care and pest control owners get stuck at a ceiling because they're dealing with outdated systems or relying on guesswork waiting for the phones to ring. Our upcoming class this Thursday provides proven strategies to generate hundreds of leads without a huge budget. We'll show you how to build a predictable systems to grow past $1 million. We show you how to automate your marketing. We'll also teach you how to delegate and build your team so you have more time. So click the link in the description below. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. This is the one thing that I wish I had learned a lot sooner. Now, let's get back to the show. A couple things like AI. Yeah, of course, everyone uses it. It's kind of like a buzzword now. But it's definitely changing the game for us, for you, for all of us. But where do you see it being used and leveraged the most inside other companies, service-based companies? And then where do you foresee it going?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people start to get their feet wet with AI phone agents. And it's something we considered, but I think it's the people who are best positioned for that is like your open phones, your high levels, where they're already the, Pipe Drive or whoever your CRM is or whoever your phone system is. They're the ones that are best positioned to put their hat into the ring on like an AI phone agent.
We implemented one last year. And it was good. Now still some bugs that need to be worked out and get a little better, but it's constantly getting better.
It's early, yeah. We're early days. So I think,
but like if you don't implement it, you're just going to get passed it by the next person who is. So we're just always trying to early adopt some strategies and just see how they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like passed up / like I think the economics are changing. We were thinking about hiring another developer, and now we're like, probably not. Let's just go use these AI tools instead. So my new goal is how big can we make the company without hiring headcount?
Right. It just reduces overhead, right?
Yeah, 100%. Or even just like if the AI services the customer 80% is good and they're still going to be a customer, well, it's so much more low stress than onboarding a new human, bringing them through onboarding, trying to get them trained on the software. So that's like the early wins that we've seen people do is like the AI phone agents. And there's so much money in the space right now. There's tons of companies that do it. I know Voice for Turf does it. Same Day AI is one of them. And / you have these software companies popping up where you can cut out the companies like that and just go direct to the model providers. So when we get to that point where you don't need a third-party software company to help implement this stuff and you can just go to retail and build your own agent because it's that easy. I don't know. We're in really exciting times.
I mean, this is your world. What do you see happening in the next 5 years? I mean, it's learning every day. So what do you think it's going to be like in 5 years? Yeah.
Like my big bold claim is like, I think, or my big hot take, I guess, on the market is like up until now, if you look at the history of like SaaS software, Field Routes, Real Green, PestPack, and name it, Service Titan, you have these years and years and years and years of learnings built into the software. All of this cost, it takes months to do anything. The roadmap is so far away. I think there's going to be a day where you have like this Chrome extension and it's watching you in, we'll call it Field Routes, we'll use them as an example. It's watching you in Field Routes. It's monitoring the API calls that's going in and out of the software. It's doing all this stuff. And this Chrome extension can essentially rebuild all the functionality of Field Routes in your own personal software CRM. And this is like a very bold claim, and has like a 10% likelihood of happening. But I'm like, if you could just wave a magic wand and every business could have their own version of field routes, and it got better over time as you give it feedback, and you just talk to it like, hey, we want your routing sucked last time. Can you like fix the routing this time so the properties are always on the right? And it goes and refactors the code, and so it does it. This is like way out there, but my big bold claim would be something like that, to where we kind of all have our own. We as in service businesses all have our own personal CRM, and if you talk to any CRM buyer, they all don't like their CRM. And that's because every business runs their business a little bit differently from a scheduling, routing, invoicing perspective. So I think that's like a big, bold claim that has a low likelihood of happening. But if it did happen, it could be really disruptive if you look at Service Titan, they just went public. They told this story to the market that like, they use our software, we're the market leader and the industry leader. Well, what more disruptive things have happened in the world? Like if you look at Uber and Airbnb and all these things. So I think I'm on X. That's where I find all my breaking AI information.
Is there anyone that you follow closely on there?
Just if you follow like Elon, obviously,
yeah, of course,
would be one. But
he's the only person I follow.
Yeah, you almost have to, right? Like his stuff shows up no matter what. But once you follow a couple of the tech people, it recommends you to like other tech people. I'm trying to think of somebody. It's most of the people I follow are all the nerds. They're like in the weeds and like playing around with there's one that just came out called Manus, MANUS. So I don't know if you heard about the DeepSeek thing that
I did. Yeah.
Happened a little bit ago. Manus is supposed to be like 10 times bigger than DeepSeek because Manus actually gives, in DeepSeek's case, it actually gives it access to like a computer and it can actually like write software. So it can write software and different prompts on its own to accomplish these tasks. So you give it a task to be like, hey, here's every one of my P&Ls from the last 12 years. Put together a performa and like a go forward analysis with interactive graphs and whatever. And it goes and does its thing for like 2 hours, then reports back with fully completing your prompt and has like these interactive graphs. And so that's what I'm like, I just can't even sleep, man, because it's like, even when you think you're up on the nose, something else comes out. And it's like, with what we do, I just can't even sleep, man. Now we have this API. The newest thing out is called MCPs. That's what X is talking about right now is MCPs, which is like basically for people that use AI coding, is you're giving your AI code tools the ability to go interact with third-party APIs. So you think Google Sheets, Google Drive, but actually this is getting kind of down in the weeds, but actually in the IDE of what you're actually writing code in. So I guess back to my bold claim is like, yeah, that's my bold claim is I think that there's going to be a world where every brand and service provider is going to have their own version of their CRM. And I don't know if that's going to be Service Titan that's going to deliver it and Real Green. It could be some new entrant. I don't know. And service provider that. And I'm like, I don't know. It just sounds like it feels super heavy.
Yeah. And like with field routes, because they got bought out by Service Titan, it just seems like everything's slowed down. It just seems like it always happens when it goes public. It just slows way down.
Well, because they're not using the AI tools yet to write because they can't. There's a lot in the enterprise. There's a lot of restrictiveness around. Like when I was in the enterprise, they like literally you cannot upload our code to the AI yet. Like it is against the law. Do not do it. You will be fired. When you have these new startups, like I just said, we rebuilt somebody's product in 2 months. This company went out and raised VC dollars to go build this tool that we built in 2 months with AI and has exact feature parity, integrates with the same softwares, and it looks almost identical on some of the feature set and functionality. And literally, it's just the AI doing its thing. You feed it screenshots and it rebuilds all the functionality. So with that being said, people could do the same thing to Clicki too. Like that's the scary part that we're in now is like that could happen to us.
And it's funny because going back 5, 10 years ago, we always said that the first one to be replaced is the labor guys.
Yeah. No, that's probably the safest spot to be now. It's like the dude's actually doing the work, or although it'd be cool to have Optimus robots out there like treating the properties.
I think I said this in the podcast a couple months ago, but I was out in Florida at Patrick Bet-David conference, and we were at the after party talking to this guy who works for Ford, I believe. He's like in the robotic department. He's like, there's robots right now that could actually do your job for you. I'm like, he's like, so the people who have heavy capital that will invest early and notice these things, like the people who are going to win. So just be ready for it. It's crazy.
100%. Yeah. So these next 2 to 3 years, from what I'm hearing from everybody, is going to be really interesting. They think AGI is here in the next 2 years. And if you have AGI, you could tell AGI to go rebuild field routes for me.
So do you think there's going to have to be like a national income for everybody?
They said they did the study on that, right? I haven't spent too much time reading into that, but yeah, I read into it a little bit and they said there was no discernible like change in habits based on the UBI. Like people weren't any happier or things like that.
They also said that with the AI, you're still going to need humans to a point. So it's just going to create more jobs.
100%. Yeah. You're going to need implementation people. Like if that CRM thing that I mentioned is real, you're going to need some sort of, I'm still helping people access APIs and hook up high level to their APIs. Like my problem is I live 10 years or I guess 5 years because I'm like on the bleeding edge of this, all the information coming in. And then like, that's the world I live in. But really like there's people that don't even know how to hook up APIs yet. So
there's people that don't even have CRMs yet.
That don't have CRMs. Yeah. They're still in.
There's been up for 20 years. As far for AI aspect, like what do you use the most? Are you Chat GPT guy? What do you like to play with if you're just messing around?
Yeah, I've been 90% of my queries are in Grok. I like the fact that it has access to real-time data and whatever's breaking. And it's not as woke as some of the other ones. So it doesn't shy away from topics. And then also like they're in unhinged mode is just so fun. Like,
did you listen to Rogan's new podcast with Elon?
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was so funny. So yeah, you pull out unhinged mode at a party and that's like a good 20 minutes of laughs for everybody.
Do you have conversations with it yet?
We do bedtime stories with my son. So I try to like, all right, let's think of a bedtime story, and their storyteller mode is really good. It's way better than GPT's voice mode because GPT, I don't know if they're trying to save tokens over there or what, but they would like the story would always stop a few sentences in, right? And like storyteller mode on Grok goes for like 5 or 6 minutes, perfect amount of time for him to fall asleep. And it's like, hey, tell us this story about monster trucks and Axel and Atlas and Kendall and this adventure we're having. And
that's awesome. I never thought about it that way. That's
cool.
So
you kind of get to teach them to use their imagination. And that's really, I think the world that we'll live in is the people that still have imagination and creativity. I think that's where, you still have to have imagination, creativity to know what to do with all these AI tools too. So
it feels like I'm constantly having conversations with it too. Like I almost feel like it's the CEO of our company at this point.
Yeah. There's going to be a day where you can have all the inputs that you would receive via your phone or email or whatever, and you could have like a second brain. I think a lot of people are working on that problem right now with giving you a second brain. But yeah, the tools wise, Grok, GPT is like my backup. And then we're using Claude, Anthropic's models for coding. So their new Sonnet 3.7 models, like phenomenally good. And then on code gen products, there's Bolt, there's Replit, there's Lovable.
How do you even keep up with all the tools?
Just on X, like literally on X, you get into these little veins of consciousness on X. So I'm in like this technology vein of consciousness. There's also this home service interesting, like, the whole Cody Sanchez, like buy Main Street businesses movement, the private equity and stuff getting into it. There's also that vein of consciousness on X of these private equity finance people buying these home service businesses and talking about doing PE roll-ups and stuff too. So I think that's fascinating, listening to their conversations. on there, but really it's just being on X, and you're talking to the people, mostly programmers, who are all on the cutting edge using these tools, and they all post their demos, and they just talk about, because they're passionate about it. Same thing as me. Like I'll work on this until 2 a.m. just because I love. My whole life I've always had ideas, and they've been I haven't been able to do them because I just haven't had either the knowledge or the technical training. And now I have both of them at my fingertips. So it's like, if I get an idea, even like something simple, is like a Google review widget, right? To display Google reviews on your website. There's companies out there that charge $20 a month for that little widget. And you can just have AI whip up your own and go get your own Google API key, and it's done in 20 minutes. So that's a very small but tangible example of, or these texting apps that people are using, like Podium and Captivated and Text Whip and Zip Whip and all these things. You could rebuild your own texting app and go buy the Twilio API key, so you're paying the raw Twilio costs instead of. Some companies are charging 10 cents a segment, things like that. So it's just, I think that's the really interesting thing that's going to happen is the cost for business owners are going to continue going down, because the actual cost to develop these tools are going down. So, yeah, I guess that's the long-winded answer to say that's how I stay up on this. It's just, I'm on X. Like if you look at my it's actually pretty sad. My screen time is like 90% X on my phone. So
that's interesting. Maybe you should make me an app for door knocking.
Do you guys use anything for door knocking now, or?
No, I mean, just like get people to actually knock the doors. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah.
Like a robot that just went and knocked doors for us.
That'd be cool. Like, how do you get the results of door knocking without actually knocking doors? That is a problem to think about.
It's so fast, right? Like the counts you can put on is so fast. And
it's instant results. You either made a sale or you didn't. Like, how did you do today? There's no.
Yeah. There was that immediate feedback loop, right?
That's also the magic of it. There's always gonna be this world for, a trained salesperson who can knock on a door and make somebody laugh and get them to agree to a pest control, program. So.
Right. Did you ever read the book, the Elon Musk book?
I listened to a lot of it. I bought the book. It's in my office at home. I didn't actually read the book yet. I've listened to it though.
Yeah, I just finished it last week. It was pretty incredible. Like just the way that Elon thinks is just ridiculous. It's obviously next level. He's a different breed of human.
Yeah. He's a big inspiration to me personally, honestly. Like even from building products and thinking from first principles around, he calls it his formula, right? Like the first step of the formula is let's make the requirements less dumb. And then,
right.
And then it's about deleting parts from the process. Oftentimes when we're building products or services as entrepreneurs, we always want to add a bunch. Like we want to add and we want to go build things, but oftentimes probably the better answer is what can we remove? What can we delete? What part of our script is not really driving any value or conversions? So I really appreciate that about him. And I think he's obviously a super special human, and we have 2 Teslas, and
I knew that. Yeah. We talked about that in the last podcast.
Yeah. Big fan. And as somebody who hasn't come from a typical like educational background in engineering and doing a lot of problem engineering today around using software as our main tool, just a big inspiration, and I think a lot can be learned just from adopting that method of thinking about any problem, taking things back to first principles, and really questioning the requirements, and ultimately deleting. He has a saying is if you're not deleting enough, if you're not having to add stuff back in. So
where do you see that most home service businesses are missing out on AI tools currently?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Everyone that you're probably talking to though is obviously geared towards AI or geared towards software at some point because they're reaching out to you, right?
Yeah, people are using AI. I think people are limited by the other tools they use in the business, really. So if they're using like a CRM that's really not on the front, not on their front foot with using AI, they're going to be limited by the scope of that underlying system.
And that's how I feel like. I kind of feel like that's where because we're using field routes and they're not there yet. And it's like we're thinking about obviously making the switch, maybe some new offices, starting doing something new, but it's like, it's going to be such a pain to switch. Like I know it's going to be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing is people are really stuck when you start talking about credit card processing.
Oh my God. That's obviously a big fear. It's like, is it worth switching, or biting the bullet, or is it just hoping that field routes moves the needle a little bit,
Yeah. I think, me, where my stance is on it is, my hot take from that webinar was I think that people should start and I think you guys already have, is dislocating their sales and marketing from their actual invoicing CRM solutions. Cause now you don't have to go wait for field routes to build AI. You can go connect it to whatever tool. So, that makes it nice and easy. But I that would probably be the biggest miss is like if the underlying, from a customer's perspective, if everything's vertically integrated and like my one system does it all, that's obviously easier for some companies but then that's also a big risk because now they can charge 10 cents a text message. And the economics for that are really, really skewed to what reality is because in theory, that message should only cost 0.007 and you're paying 10 cents per segment. So, I think that's probably thinking about from just where does all of our data live? What tools are we using? And I think that's probably the biggest miss.
I got a question for you. If you were to own a pest control, lawn care, service-based company now, what tools would you use?
Yeah, if I had to start from scratch, I would frankly, we'd probably build our own native CRM solution. And granted, it wouldn't be as good day one, but the vision would be over time of like a Tesla integrated experience where the service, there's an app that goes along with our brand and that's directly tied to our CRM system. And we would probably start off with like high level or something for the sales and marketing, just to get traction and stuff really quickly. But over time, the goal would be to have a vertically integrated system where we own all the credit card processing as well. So as we grow the business and we use your example, thousands and thousands of customers and millions of dollars of revenue going through this funnel, that somebody else isn't capturing the value in that because it is a massive value. And not only are those companies receiving a little sliver of the processing revenue, but they're on the flip side of it. When they go to flip the business, that revenue is valued at such a high number and such a high multiple if you have credit card processing revenue built into your business model. So that would be really interesting if you could think about, let's just use Pest Badger for an example. If you could get to a point where you were rolling your own and it was good enough to run and do all the scheduling and routing and like maybe even better than what you guys have today, and you handled all of your own payment processing, and like this PE firm comes in to like value that. They're like, yeah, we actually do all of our own payment processing. Call it Badger Pay. like it'd be insane, right? They'd be like, all right, 20x on all that revenue right there. That's like insane.
It's definitely crossed our mind to build our own. It hasn't happened yet, but it's like one of those next things we're going to probably pull the trigger on the next 5 years.
It's going to cross your mind. It's going to cross until the day comes where it's like, we can get this built for $5,000. And it's probably better than what we're using today. And the limited factor before was, well, I need to go hire programmers on Upwork and I need to know what to have them build, and they're going to build something and it's going to be shitty and we can't iterate on it. Well, what if you could just iterate in plain language to this super intelligence? And you're just like, hey, your scheduling and routing is off. It's dropping me on the wrong side of the street. And this super intelligence goes off for a week, comes back and presents you with its changes. And if you say, yeah, that's good, click approve, and it moves it to the general code base. And now you have a better platform. But I just think the way that software is built historically is not how it will be built moving forward. So what does that mean? There will be a time when you can recreate field routes in a month for $5,000 and have your own version of it. And then it's like, okay, well, what are they going to do to keep you locked in? If, I don't know if people, I think they've started rolling out longer contracts and things like that. But, but I'm sure there's something in there too that you've signed or somebody has signed. It's like, hey, we're not going to replicate your software. So you can't like use their software to like build your own. So we're going to be in really interesting times. I mean, honestly.
So on the flip side of that, how do you stop them from recreating your software?
You can't. I mean, like you can't stop somebody from taking a picture of your software. You could just take a picture with your iPhone, and like I could take a picture of Riverside and go give it to the AI and say, hey, create me a Riverside clone. And it's going to go and spit out a Riverside clone. Now, here's where you're going to run into problems today is the back end infrastructure. What we're talking about is like front end UI, UX of what we see and use and experience in the software. But the back end infrastructure is where this gets really hairy and is not simple. How do you text message 20,000 people today? It's really difficult, actually, from an infrastructure perspective, and not getting filtered by the carriers and all of these things, or even getting 20,000 emails to land in an inbox. That's another big, meaty, hairy problem. In our case, there's 200,000 people on Clicki. Like at scale, how do we deliver 200,000 reminder emails to everybody for all the different brands that use us and land in the inbox and make sure that people see it? So, we all we like to get excited about like, oh yeah, it's going to totally be recreated. But I think there's a world where it could be possible. And that's if they get enough energy and the models keep getting better and they have enough compute power and it's at a low enough cost where it makes sense to try some of these things. So I just don't think that it's going to be like it has been the last 10 years. The last 10 years is you have to go through X if you want to have a robust software for my scale business. And companies are limited at the speed that these providers can ship, which it has to go through a product manager, and then the product manager goes to design, and then the designer goes to the engineer, and then the engineer builds the thing and then ships it to the customer. And they're like, no, I actually wanted the button here and it needs to say X. And then it's another 6 months before that gets implemented. And by the way, every part of that chain, it's probably like $1 million in salary right there for every part of that chain for a button change. So I think about that a lot though. I'm like constantly thinking, is this how it's always going to be? And I just don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't either. It's moving so fast on a daily basis.
If I'm wrong, here's the best part. All these companies, Service Titan, Field Routes, their iteration cycles are going to increase and the product is going to get 10 times better. Imagine if they could roll out a feature, call it Field Routes AI, whatever. And there's this little microphone in Field Routes and you tell Field Routes exactly how it sucks. And all that feedback goes from all their customers in this massive intelligence and goes into some sort of like master hopper or something. And it goes into the AI and it's like, well, what's our top 3 things clients want? Boom. AI, go into our stack, build that, give us a preview. And so that could also be possible too. But you have to be forward thinking to think like that, and want to try some of these new aggressive things, which a lot of companies are really risk averse right now, rightfully so. Like they can't just upload their whole code base to GPT and say, go for it. Cause they just spent years and years and millions of dollars building this thing. So they have to protect it, which they should.
Well, us pest control operators need people like Kendall around. So the people that don't know what Clicki is, if they didn't hear the first podcast, why don't you kind of just let us know what Clicki does, what it started out as, what it did back then and what it does now, and then maybe give me some of the things that we can use it for on a daily basis.
Yeah. So Jonas, I mean, the product's actually grown even since, we first onboarded you. When we first launched, it was primarily a tool for your customers to refer you. But it quickly grew with companies using it internally for their employee campaigns as well. So imagine all of your technicians and door knockers and CSRs having their own employee referral program as well, and being able to bonus them out differently than maybe your customers. So what we see people use Clicki for today is we become the referral system in their whole business. All their customer referrals, your trade and channel partner programs. So that's like for pest control customers, that's like home inspectors and realtors and things like that. You could go out and create a realtor program and go out and find all these realtors and have these realtors create these programs for realtors to refer your business, which are really successful for our pest control customers. And then you could even create employee referral programs as well. And essentially, just imagine if all those people had a referral link that they could share with friends and family, and they could share it out to Facebook, text their link to friends, and just makes it really easy for these different types of people to refer the business. And then funny enough, we talk about software. We actually loop into your software of record. So Field Routes, Service Titan, Jobber, Real Green, PestPack, all these tools. And we keep track of who's signed up and who hasn't, so that we automatically award the referral bonuses to the person that needs to get it. So oftentimes companies have referral programs today, and at best it's on a spreadsheet.
It's nightmare.
And it's a mess to track, and then it's just hard for customers to engage in. So that's where we come in, and we become the referral system for the whole brand. And typically, like I said, most brands start off like you guys, kind of just start off with customer referrals. And then as they're like, wow, we have 70 employees, we should probably leverage them too. And hey, I want to pay my employees $100 if a referral closes versus $50 for my customers. And you can really easily do that. And then we also handle the cash outs too. So when somebody earns money, they tap a button to cash out. And if it's a Venmo, it shows up in 5 minutes. If it's a Amazon gift card, Visa gift card, it's all instant cash out methods for the customers or whoever's, cashing out. And it's kind of crazy. Like when we launched, we were doing like, maybe 50 or so cash outs a month. And now we're at like 500 cash outs a month. It's insane.
It's actually pretty cool to see, even from our end, I'll be honest, like, oh, this person just cashed out. I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah. So we charge your credit card and we move the money over to the customer, and then they get to go spend it however they like. Something we're working on right now, which maybe, again, based on customer feedback, is we're obsessed with listening to customers and just building whatever they want to see. We've had customers that want to maybe give double the bonus if they use the money with the business. So if they download it, so if, like, instead of cashing out to cash, I could get a Badger certificate and get double my money and use it as a gift certificate towards Pest Badger, which that also opened up a new feature of basically all of our customers today. There's no way to gift services to somebody. So if you think about somebody that has everything they could ever want, how would I buy them a gift certificate for Pest Badger today? I don't think there's a way to do that on your website. So we've seen that even pop up as like something that could be addressed, and we could build really quickly and ship and allow, we have 200 customers today, to allow them to sell their services, from a gift certificate perspective. Like if we're going to go build this gift certificate option to Clicki, our mind goes to, okay, we've got this thing now. This company can now provision gift certificates. How could they sell a bunch of these? And I don't know if people would even do it. I mean, to me, I'm trying to constantly find gifts for people who have everything. And we could build this in like 2 weeks, I think, and test it and see if people will do it. But really that feedback just came from customers who are like, hey, I want them to use their rewards with us. And we're like, got it, totally get it. Some people want the cash out rewards where it's cash, and some people want gift certificates. So we're building gift certificates, and so that will be an option soon in the dashboard. But that's kind of Clicki. We just become the referral system in the business, and then like I said, it's kind of grown, and now we have Bravo, which is our second product, which is Google reviews, NPS scores, your tip attack program, and homeowner tipping if you want to offer that to for your technicians. And honestly, I hated the homeowner tipping. Thought it was the dumbest idea in the world. I don't do it, but we flipped it live for Travis for his company, and Jared made an extra $430 in the last 2 months.
Yeah, we murder it on tips,
which could be life-changing, right? For somebody. And then based on customer feedback, Hydra Pest wanted to start giving out NPS scores every time they got a 10, give them $1 into their account. But the huge added benefit to this is it's integrated into the referral system. So as the customers are going through the surveys, if they've already left a Google review, well, now they're going to be prompted for a referral. And that referral will be tied directly to that customer's account in Clicki, right? So you see the whole closed looped aspect of this. So that's been really exciting and to watch grow. And it's like a no-brainer. Like we're on demos with people for Clicki, and then they're like, do you do anything for Google reviews? And we're like, actually, yeah, check out Bravo. So
what do you see some of the best strategies to use Clicki? Like what have you seen people do that's just super awesome, that's worked really well?
Yeah. So, I mean, the number one thing is people always like to look for a correlation between number of customers and like the amount of referrals or new customers generated through the platform. And it's definitely helpful to have people on the front end of like, hey, they can refer you. But the people that we see that do the best, Clicki truly becomes the referral system for their whole business. They're using it for their customer referrals, like I just talked about. They're launching a realtor program, and they're going out and soliciting realtors to become referral partners for them. They're launching an employee program and adding all 70 of their technicians to an employee program. I just did a call with Mosquito Joe yesterday, and we'll do this with anybody, by the way. So if you're a current Clicki client that uses us, or you're thinking about signing up with us,
which I highly recommend everyone does. If you're not, you're missing out.
Yeah, we would really appreciate it. But what we did for Mosquito Joe is they had their spring kickoff, and they got all their technicians in a room. And I literally flashed up a QR code on the screen and helped all their technicians get the app installed and get logged into the app, and taught them how to generate referrals for the business. So I see that being really powerful. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like it only took me 30 minutes, and now I've got 30 of these super promoters out there. And the pitch is simple, guys. It's like, listen, Pest Badger spends hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on Google and Facebook ads. They would rather pay that to you. So share this link as much as possible so they can pay you instead of Google and Facebook. Like that is very easy to understand for people. But so I just did this call and got all of them enrolled, and people are signing up, and then they gave out bonuses right at the end. So we're dropping money into people's account, making it really fun. Because I don't know if you guys use this feature much, but the manual bonuses on Clicki are pretty cool. You can just drop money into people's account, and they're getting these little bonus notifications. So we see that as being a really big opportunity. So using it for customers, spinning up campaigns for like realtors, or if you're a lawn care company, create an irrigation company partner program. Go out and find irrigation firms that you guys don't compete, but think about how many lawns they're on in a year. They install an irrigation system. Well, now that lawn needs to be repaired and fixed, right? So those would be great referral partnerships. There's so much. Using it for all of their referrals, right? So even the referrals that don't happen digitally on the platform, but happen, a good example is like Alta. So they have referrals where their sales rep is on the phone with somebody, and they ask, how did you hear about us? And they're like, oh, John Doe referred us. And they're actually paying out that referral reward using Clicki, even though it wasn't generated on Clicki. And the logic behind that is that customer now has to go into the Clicki platform to get their money. And when they're in there, their referral link is waiting for them, and they could submit more referrals. So I think that's one thing we're really working on now, is taking all these best practices from all of our customers and distributing them out across all of our other customers that use the platform, and let them know how they can get the most out of the software. And then from my perspective as CEO is I'm like, my North Star is to build a product that you don't have to think about. It just works on autopilot in the background. So that's what really drives me, because if we could create the Ozempic for referrals, then it's going to be $1 billion company.
I agree. I think it's definitely headed on the right track for sure.
So my next version of this is the Clicki network. Now that we have 200 nodes in the network, 200 companies, there's a good chance that we have multiple companies and markets now that don't compete. But there might be, like in your example, is maybe we have 5 companies in Grand Rapids that don't compete. We have Badger, we've got some epoxy floor coating business. We have an HVAC partner. So it's almost like we have these little mini BNI groups in these local areas. How do we unlock these referral opportunities between brands that are really great and vetted, and they all use Clicki and they speak the same language, but they don't know each other yet? How can we help them know each other? What does that look like? We see that as probably one of the most exciting things for us because, like I said, there's clustering in markets now, and there's owners that need to meet that haven't met, and they need to form a relationship. And if there could be a strong core group there, and like, what does that even look like? How do we cross promote each other? If Badger has 5,000 customers and this epoxy floor coating business has thousands of customers, what does that even look like to be partnered? Do we show up in each other's app? Do we, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but like on Chase Bank, when I log in, they show me a bunch of other special offers, or on Uber Eats, sometimes they show you special offers from Amex and Factor meals and all these things. Like, maybe it looks something like that. I don't know. We're starting to flesh out that network concept and idea, but we're really well positioned for that. And it just gets the case study gets more prevalent as we add more people to the network. So it's like we've seen little glimpses of this in Arizona in Travis's market. So Nice Pest. So they've tons of pest control businesses, but they've got event companies that use Clicki there. They've got a turf cleaning business. They've got lawn care companies, pest control business. So it's like, how do all these brands work together? And they just so happen to be buddies initially. So it's a good fit to really prove out the case. But it's like, how do we create that in other markets is really exciting to think about.
It's really cool. What's the hardest day you've had with Clicki so far?
Probably when it just recently, it was like hell. We had pushed up a new feature with texting, and we had pushed up some code, and it was getting stuck in a loop for a client that we were just launching. And it was just this client, and it was like we had just signed him up. He prepaid for the year, and it was stuck in a loop. So his customers were, I probably shouldn't say this, but like, I believe in like transparency, and it's like fixed now, right? It was stuck in a loop, and we couldn't get to it until like 6 a.m. the next day. So these text messages are just rolling out. And for me, as like an owner, somebody that owned a lawn care company before, I was like horrified and like mortified that this happened. And things happened, and we made it right, and the customer still stayed with us. But we were like, well, here's the plus side. Everybody knows about your referral program now because they were texted about 10 times about it. Downside is we will give you a refund for your troubles. No questions asked. And we've corrected this. This is like the lifeblood of our business. Like, I will personally ensure that this will never happen again. I take full responsibility for it even happening in the first place. And I called him, I said that, and that's my thing. Like, everything stops with me. Like, whatever happens on the platform.
What happened though? Like, how did it happen? How did it get stuck like that?
So we were trying to build this feature where, I don't want to talk about it too much because it's kind of some secret sauce, but essentially messages were being filtered, and we were trying to get around some filtering mechanisms on the carrier level. And basically we built this way to re-trigger the message to be sent after being filtered, and it was just stuck in this kind of death loop.
Did it happen like overnight or something like that? Why you weren't able to get to it till 6 a.m. or is that when you found out about it?
That's when we got notified about it. So this customer had referrals rolling in because he had just launched, and they had probably 800 customers or something like that. So thank God it wasn't like 20,000 customers, because it would have been fucking expensive, because we actually got charged for every message that went out times 10. So, yeah, it was, I think
could have been a bad day. Could have been a worse day.
Could have been bad. It could have been all of our customers, like all of our customers getting text. It could have been like way worse. The problem, the problem in the opportunity of a startup is that you move fast and you break things. You are able to move fast, but again, these little things pop up, And it's not the first time. Even back in the lawn bot days, like we had the whole system go down. Like things just, I mean, big systems go down. Real Green, Field Routes, they Service Titan, they have outages. Like they just happen. So we made it right for this customer and are obsessed with making sure that nothing like that ever happens again. And kind of, I have grace with people after things like that because, you know, if a team member messes up or something like that, they're probably the person that's not going to make that mistake again, right? And if they do, then we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But I mean, it was just something that you never want to have happen. And we got through it and customers stayed with us and they've been generating referrals since. So
sometimes that's how you keep your most loyal customer too. Like something bad happens, you go through the end of the world to fix it.
On the flip side too, they just told all their customers that we have this new referral program and we're going to pay you. And then if they were to cancel, they're like, well, actually we're not going to pay you. So it's really kind of a hard thing to churn from. Which is a learning in there too, but it's okay. Just the general concept of fucking up. It happens in everybody's business, right? Even at the lawn doctor days, like there was a billionaire in town that, we had sold a power seating to a big ass golf course on their property. I'm talking a big fucking job. And like going back, I would never ever do this again. We sold this power seating. We did a kill off reseed in like July. And if you're in lawn care, you know, like you never do a kill off reseed in July because the germination is going to be so slow because it's so hot out. Like you seed in the fall or in the spring, but like I really wanted to sell this deal, sold it. We're out there killing off fucking bent grass in a golf course. The dumbest thing in the world. These bent grass patches, we're power seeding. It's not growing back quick enough. And their whole 30-acre estates if you look on Google Maps at this, I'll send you the picture. It looks like a leopard spots in their entire property. And I'm like 24 at the time. It was insane. And we made it right. It was a mess. But what I've learned from all that kind of stuff is like, if you just take full responsibility, you approach the problem head on and do everything in your power you can to fix it. That's all we can do. I mean, nobody's perfect and you try to learn from every mistake, but that was a big one. We've burned lawns before, you know, it happens all the time in our industry. You go out, you're not necessarily the owner does it, but the tech, whatever, they'll take a shit in the woods. Who knows? Like I've had some crazy calls in my career of owning a lawn care company. Like your tech just pooped behind our shed out back. And we're like, what?
And then to actually catch him on camera is the best part.
I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. Like, listen, you know, it ain't like it used to be back in the 90s. All right. It's, we do our best out here. Like, listen, I know the labor pool's tough and blah, like it's crazy, but so
dude had to go.
Yeah. But just do it in the bottle or something, or, you know, I don't know. It's,
you'd think.
So,
and everyone has cameras these days, you know, people just don't think.
Yeah. But that's also this thing we signed up for, right? Like that's the reason why we're in the hot seat is we choose to be. And I think Grant Cardone had a line like that. It's like your income is directly related to the level of problems that you have to deal with in your life and in your career. And it's I definitely prescribe to that.
Yeah, we signed up for it.
Yeah. And it's a lot, especially when you're a parent. So you have all these business problems coming at you, and then you have like parenting problems happening at the same time. I've got a 2 and a 5-year-old, and I know that you have kids too. So it's just like when you're ambitious, I just feel like this constant battle of like, you're not doing enough, but you still want to be a great dad and make sure you're there for every wrestling match and things like that. So it's such a battle.
It tears at me too, because I'd never want to miss anything with my kids. But then when I'm gone with my kids, I feel like I should be like, again, like I'm not doing enough. Like I should be doing more. It's definitely a tough battle for sure. And I've heard I read all the books, Elon books and Jobs books, and like they're never there for their kids, and then they regret it later on in life. And I don't want to be that either, you know? So it's just, it's definitely, I get stuck in a rock and a hard place in my own brain. Like, what should I be doing, you know? But ultimately I feel like being a parent at the end of the day is probably the most important thing. And then once they're a little bit older, then go down swing at the end. But thankfully I started the business early when they were young or not born yet. So a lot of, you know, like the hard times, like grinding away every single day, 90, 100 hours plus a week, are behind me, like as far as labor work,
Yeah. Yeah. You're kind of insulated from that now a little bit. I mean, I still see you out there on the road and stuff. So there's, I'm sure, grinding, but just in a bigger way, a different way.
I asked my mentor, because the first time I gave up my office, didn't have my office anymore. And I felt like I delegated almost all my responsibilities away. And I was like, kind of lost for a moment. I was like, okay. So I called him, like, this is how I feel. What do you think? He's like, that's how you know you did it the right way. You built your business the right way. I'm like, oh, good point, but it still doesn't fix my problem. It's like, you're on the right path,
Yeah, totally. 100%.
What does the next 3 years look like for you, Kendall? Like, what do you think Clicki's going to look like in 3 years?
Yeah, I think if we can build this network like I'm talking about and really connect these brands, I think that's where this gets really interesting. Being the growth partner for the businesses that use our software. So today it's, primarily like referrals, and we've got the Bravo angle now, but I think that using AI tools, we're really going to be able to help brands out in a lot of ways and be really responsive to their needs. So I see something like 1,000+ businesses that we work with in 3 years, and all different verticals, and having the option, like it would be sweet to exit, but I also don't. I kind of love where we're at today. Is we're cash flow positive. We get to just work with the customers we want to work with, build the products we want to build, and we don't answer to anybody except our customers. We don't answer to VCs. We don't answer to investors. We just answer to our customers, and that's like a great spot to be.
How many emails a week do you get about PE companies?
Not so much from PE companies. It's more customers that are on calls now. They're like, Are you taking money right now? I was like, we don't need money.
My inbox is full daily from it.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
bet.
annoying,
Yeah, lots of PE money in the space. I think I kind of have this idealistic thing in my mind. If we were to raise money, I want to raise it from our customers that actually use our software, that create value. Because I think what happens a lot of times, like when Service Titan went public, like I don't think any Service Titan customers had shares in Service Titan. When these CRM companies trade, they're valuing the CRM companies based on a multiple of revenue, right? And that revenue is provided by all of these individual businesses like Pest Badger and these lawn care companies, pest control companies that use the tool and have all their credit card processing through the company and this and that. They're not seeing any of the enterprise value created from them being a part of the network, so to speak. So I have like this thing in my mind. If we ever were to raise money, I would want to raise it from our customers and allow the people that make up the network to share in the upside of the company, so that if we were ever acquired by like Venmo or Intuit or Chase or something like that'd be an ideal acquirer for us, is Intuit. I'm like speaking it into the universe here. Like they bought MailChimp for like $12 billion or something. And if you think about them, all of their SMBs that use QuickBooks, they like need referrals, right? So it's like it'd be like an amazing partnership. So I say all that to say, if we solve the network thing and we did need to raise money, I'd want to raise it from our customers, like you and everybody else, and give them the opportunity to buy shares in the round. And if you're using our tool and you like our tool and you believe in what we're building and where we're going, then I think your money's no different than a VC's. It's the same money. And oftentimes a lot of our customers have just as much capital available to invest in things. So that's kind of where we're at on that. And then I think we're bootstrapped. So that's also our competitive advantage. Not that we tried to be, it's just like nobody would invest when we were looking, and now we're too big we're like, we don't need money anymore. So, we don't need investment at the moment. So sky's the limit there. I think that'd just be really cool to have some sort of big outcome, and then like have all of the people that actually, because your customers are actually the ones that create the value, right? So when they go in and value our company, they'll look at our annual recurring revenue and be like, oh, where did all of that come from? It came from these customers. They're the ones that create the value in the company. And if they could have some sort of liquidity event with us, that'd be phenomenal. That'd be really exciting.
I agree.
So,
smart. Yeah, I've seen like other companies like kind of do that too, like big product companies. Like they'll invest into service-based companies or something like that. It's very interesting. Like I've even seen like in the oil space world, like where they own like Quick Lube, and then like the Quick Lube is even really good, and then the oil suppliers will invest into the Quick Lubes. It's pretty cool. It's smart.
Yeah, 100%.
It's super awesome. Well, I always love chatting with you, Kendall. It's like makes me think at a whole new level all the time. It's like Joe Rogan talking to Elon right now, like just a different world. And I think this space needs people like you, Kendall, for sure. So I appreciate all the knowledge that you give us.
Yeah. Well, I'm just deep in the trenches here. Like I'm in the literally in the code. So.
Well, you stay there and I'm going to stay where I'm at.
All right. Sounds good. I'll report back. I'll bring you all the high level, like the Manus. I haven't heard anybody talk about Manus, and I just, that's a huge, like, go check that out. That's popping right now.
I always take notes, which, probably do. I always take notes, and I have written down Manus right here. Go check it out. It's pretty cool. Awesome, man. Well, I won't take any more of your time. We went over a little bit, but as always, I appreciate you. Keep me posted. And then I'm sure we'll talk soon because we have a lot going on that we need to implement. So we'll be on the phone soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Well, look forward to talking with you soon, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, cool. I'll chat with you soon, bud.
All right. See ya.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, obviously, but the podcast isn't free. You can pay for the podcast by sharing it with your friends and your family. So please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. These things make a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions you want answered about the business or your life by me or my guests, send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about any personal business coaching, check out our website at www.pestcontrolmillionaire.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys again on the next one.